As companies such as AMD and Nvidia continue to push the performance limits of PC hardware, game developers can fully leverage PC's capabilities to create some of the most demanding and realistic games in the world. Games are made not only for entertainment, but also to test the performance of users' computers. Furthermore, players take satisfaction in possessing a powerful PC capable of running high-demanding video games. Here's my list of the 25 best high-spec PC games with insane graphics. Make sure to check them out and give them a try on your PC. Hogwarts Legacy is an immersive open-world action RPG set in the world first introduced in the Harry Potter books. For the first time, experience Hogwarts in the 1800s. The wizarding world awaits you. Freely roam Hogwarts, Hogsmeade, the Forbidden Forest, and the surrounding overland area. Be the witch or wizard you want to be. Learn spells, brew potions, grow plants, and tend to magical beasts along your journey. Experience the wizarding world in an unexplored era to uncover a hidden truth from its past. Cloud Strife, a mercenary and former member of an elite private military group soldier, takes on a job with an eco-terrorist cell called Avalanche. Their mission is to blow up a reactor that siphons Mako, the lifeblood of the planet, and uses it to power the sprawling industrial metropolis of Midgar. The group braves resistance from Shenra Electric Company's forces and sets off an explosion that renders the reactor inoperable. Take your seat for a new season as redesigned cars and overhauled rules redefine race day. Test your skills around the new Miami International Autodrome and get a taste of the glitz and glamour in F1 life. Race the stunning cars of the Formula 1 and Formula 2 for the 2022 season with an authentic lineup of all drivers, teams, and liveries. Take control of your race experience with new immersive or broadcast race sequences. Create a team and take them to the front of the grid with new depth in the acclaimed 19 career mode. Resident Evil Village is an action-adventure game that is the 8th installment of the main series of popular survival horror games developed since 1996 by the Japanese studio Capcom. Ethan and his wife, Mia, have moved to Romania, a place under close surveillance by the BSAA. Recently, their daughter Rosemary was born. The family tries to lead a peaceful life, but the nightmare they experienced in Louisiana still weighs on them. The action of the game starts in an unusual way, with a disturbing story that Mia reads to her daughter at bedtime. The game is a sequel to 2019's Call of Duty Modern Warfare, and, like the first part, offers a story campaign, a co-op mode, and online PvP skirmishes against other players. The action begins shortly after the events of Call of Duty Modern Warfare. The plot again focuses on the activities of the special group Task Force 141. This time the soldiers have to face a mysterious military organization, whose tentacles go deeper than anyone could have guessed. Microsoft Flight Simulator faithfully recreates a rich set of licensed machines and an area of the entire globe using satellite data, artificial intelligence processing power, and the Azure Data Cloud. Unlike the simplified Microsoft Flight, we get a powerful simulator that covers the whole Earth and offers as many as 37,000 airports. The simulator has also been enriched with multi-layer volumetric clouds, and weather data is downloaded regularly from the network. The PC version of Bright Memory is a classic first-person shooter. The action takes place in the realm of science fiction, and the combat system places great emphasis on elements such as conventional firearms, the use of melee weapons, and spectacular attack combinations. The main character is a well-equipped warrior named Shelia. Our heroine also has a special gauntlet that allows her to telekinetically manipulate her enemies. Uncover the thrilling cinematic storytelling and the largest blockbuster action set pieces in the Uncharted franchise, packed with all the wit, cunning, and over-the-top moments of the beloved thieves, Nathan Drake and Chloe Fraser. From thick jungles to snow-capped mountains, exotic islands to rain-soaked streets, explore every inch of these stunningly beautiful environments in spectacular detail. In Ride 4, we can race by riding several hundred models of motorcycles known from the real world, thanks to appropriate licenses, and for the first time in the history of this cycle, we have here also Yamaha motorbikes. The game is realistic. It offers a day and night cycle and a dynamic weather system. Road and lighting conditions affect the ease of driving motorcycles, and the driving model requires a lot of attention and skill from the player. The plot of Spider-Man is not a direct adaptation of the comic book or movie. Insomniac Games has created an entirely new story. When iconic Marvel villains threaten Marvel's New York, Peter Parker and Spider-Man's worlds collide. To save the city and those he loves, he must rise up and be greater. Feel the full power of a more experienced Spider-Man with improvisational combat, dynamic acrobatics, fluid urban traversal, and environmental interactions. The action of the game takes place in the Lands Between region, divided into 6 kingdoms. Each of them is ruled by one of the demigods, whom we have to defeat in order to get the fragments of the Elden Ring. It was the destruction of this mysterious object that triggered a cataclysmic event that brought the Lands Between to the brink of collapse. The protagonist, one of the Tarnished, has returned to his homeland from exile to try and regain the once lost favor of the Erd Tree, prove his worth, and become the new Elden Lord. The Ascent is set in a fictional futuristic reality on the planet Veles. The world is ruled by a huge corporation, the Ascent Group, which controls everything and everyone. The adventure begins when the almighty corporation collapses under mysterious circumstances, which despite appearances is not a cause for joy. Society, deprived of supervision and protection, is dominated by bandits and small companies that are at war with each other. It is in such circumstances that we meet the protagonist, one of the millions of mercenary workers de facto enslaved by the Ascent Group. The 6th main entry in the very popular series of first-person shooters. The action of Halo Infinite takes place after the events presented in Halo 5 Guardians. The main character is the legendary Master Chief, a super soldier belonging to the elite Spartan unit. After the war with the Guardians, led by Cortana, was lost, the reign of terror began in the galaxy, and the protagonist and his allies must find a way to end it. Dying Light 2 is set 20 years after the end of the first part in 2034. It tells a new story, and knowledge of the plot of the first part is not required to understand the sequel's story. After the zombie outbreak in the city of Heron was brought under control, government and corporate scientists began researching the mutant strain of rabies that caused the tragedy. They sought commercial and military uses for it for profit. However, the pursuit of money leads to disaster, and in late 2021 the virus escapes from a Geneva research lab. The extremely contagious disease leads to a global pandemic, anarchy, and a collapse of civilization. Within 2 years, almost the entire population of Earth was infected. There are only a few settlements left in the world and one city, Villador, where the game takes place. Dead Space is a remake of the cult sci-fi survival horror that debuted in 2008. Engineer Isaac Clarke is one of the crew members of the shuttle USG Kellyan, who is sent to the flagship mining ship USG Ishimura to make necessary repairs. A standard mission instantly turns into a desperate struggle for survival when it turns out that the ship's employees have been murdered and bloodthirsty creatures called necromorphs are roaming the deck. Isaac tries to find out what's behind the horror that befell the USG Ishimura while searching for his beloved medical officer Nicole Brennan, stationed on the ship. Control is a science fiction third-person shooter in which the players have to face an invasion from out of this world using a number of special abilities and a telekinetic pistol. The player takes on the role of a woman named Jessie Faden, who is trying to cope with her past and goes to the Federal Bureau of Control located in New York City. The director of the agency dies during the attack, and Jessie takes over as a result of strange rituals ruling the Bureau. This is how she became responsible for neutralizing the aggressors. Kratos is once again the protagonist of God of War. After madness-filled adventures in Greece that ended with the destruction of Mount Olympus and the deaths of many Greek gods and heroes, the protagonist escapes to the far north, where he looks for peace. There he meets a new love and starts a family. When his wife suddenly dies, he remains alone with a young son named Atreus. The Nordic gods are fully aware of Kratos' role in the fall of Olympus, and they fear him. The main characters are forced to start a journey filled with the bodies of demonic and fantasy beasts. Atreus gradually discovers his father's past, and his loyalty to Kratos diminishes. Far Cry 6 takes you on a journey to Yara, a fictional tropical country inspired by Cuba. Anton Castillo is in charge. His life's goal is to rebuild the country and bring it back to its former glory 50 years ago, no matter what sacrifices he has to make to the people. Besides, Castillo is raising his successor, a 13-year-old son named Diego. The character you play as is Danny Rojas, a local resistance fighter trying to remove Castillo from power through guerrilla warfare and protests in the streets of Yara's capital, Esperanza. During the game, you take part in the Horizon Festival, which is a kind of motorsports event. Forza Horizon 5 takes you on a journey to Mexico. This is the most extensive map in the history of the series, about 50% larger than the one included in Forza Horizon 4. There are deserts, rainforests, ancient ruins, huge canyons, and picturesque beaches, as well as settlements, towns, and the big city of Guanajuato. You play as Agent 47, an assassin with a barcode tattooed on the back of his head. In Hitman 3, Agent 47 and his partner, Diana Burnwood, must team up with their old friend Lucas Gray to take down the group known as Providence once and for all. This requires the agent to complete numerous contracts, the most difficult and important in his career, spread all over the world. You will visit Dubai and Chongqing in China, among others. Cyberpunk 2077 is set in 2077 in the fictional metropolis of Night City, located on the northern Californian coast. The player creates their protagonist from scratch, choosing their gender, appearance, and origin. The protagonist is V, a rookie mercenary, trying to make their way up in this grim reality. The protagonist comes into possession of a chip able to grant immortality, which is desired by the world's most influential powers. The Callisto Protocol takes you back to 2320. You arrive on Jupiter's moon Callisto, where the Black Iron Prison is located. You take on the role of one of the prisoners, whose task is to escape from the facility and discover its terrifying secrets. The fact that bloodthirsty mutants have taken over the prison doesn't make things any easier. The action of Horizon Zero Dawn takes place at a time when mankind's best years are long behind us. Our civilization has fallen, and people unaware of their roots are gathering into tribes and living in the wilderness of the New World. However, not everything on the planet has regressed. The superior role in the environment has been taken by machines, which in unexplained circumstances have evolved into intelligent animals. The player takes on the role of Aloy, a young warlike girl who wants to explore the secrets of an ancient civilization while trying to learn about her own origins. Shadow of the Tomb Raider takes place after the events depicted in Rise of the Tomb Raider. This time, Miss Croft journeys to Latin America, where she travels through the ruins of ancient civilization, including the Mayan and Aztec pyramids, discovers the mysteries of the Order of Trinity, and learns more about the research conducted by her father. The story is more mature than in previous games. In order to depict Lara as a more advanced adventurer, the developers intended to force her to face the consequences of decisions she made. The action of Red Dead Redemption 2 is set in 1899, that is before the events depicted in Red Dead Redemption. The gang of outlaws led by Dutch van der Linde is roaming the Old West together with Linda's right hand, Arthur Morgan, the protagonist of this story and of the original Red Dead Redemption. When the Blackwater robbery goes south, the outlaws are forced to flee the sheriffs and bounty hunters and fight for their survival in a hostile environment. On his adventure, the protagonist has to choose between staying loyal to his friends and his ideals. This is my list of the best high-spec PC games with insane graphics. If you have something to add, feel free to leave any comments here. If you liked this video, share it with your friends and subscribe to my channel.